Welcome. I'm James Green, and this is James Green's English Class Presents the Joining Game. Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3 in Discord land. Can you hear me? No. Okay, I have this problem every time. I'll be right back. How about now? Can you hear me now? You can hear me now? Wonderful. All right. Welcome to James Green's English Class Presents the Joining Game. I'm James, and I teach this class every week for 90 minutes. We'll be here. I'll open up the stage in a moment, and you can join me for a conversation. The purpose of the joining game is to join on what we have in common, play to integrate our differences for the purpose of learning English and learning in general. Um, Come on up to join me, Inesta, Honey, Skoogie, and anyone else who'd like to join the stage. Just raise your digital hand. I'll bring you on up. Popcorn Man. Hi.
Hi, Mr. James. What are we going to do
No.
today?
Wolf, come on up. Great question. What are we going to do today? I have some ideas. Is there something that you have in mind, or are you just ready to follow my lead?
I'll follow yours.
Okay.
Wear it.
Hi, Adora.
Hello.
Hello. My Rob, hi. So
Hello, everyone.
much happening. Come on up, trespassing. Um, I want to warn you that I'm recording this class for my YouTube channel, and I've been having a little bit of a technical problem, so it may not work. That's why I haven't published my YouTube channel, but I want you to know that there's a chance that you'll be recorded on my YouTube channel. So it doesn't come as a surprise. Not that I have a very big following on YouTube, but I'm looking to record my classes for this group so that people can watch them and listen to them, even if they can't be here live. So stay tuned for that. I will, if it works, I would like to share it, and I'll share it, the link in my Teacher Student Center, which is James Green's The Joining Game in the Teacher English server's Teacher Student Center space. And the link to that is here. Two things that I had on my mind. One is a play by Tom Stoppard called Arcadia that I began reading and learning about. Tom Stoppard is an interesting writer. I was also watching his interviews with Charlie Rose. This is from a long time ago, like an interview from 1995. Charlie Rose is a pretty well-known interviewer. He does a TV show in New York City about all kinds of things. He has people on his show. Uh, um, I like Tom Stoppard. It's interesting to watch Tom Stoppard, to listen to Tom Stoppard talk. And he's a good writer. His plays are interesting. So that was one possible direction to go. The other direction is a book called The Art of Seduction. It's not a, I haven't read this book, but it was brought to me by a student of mine, and it is a controversial book because of the way it presents its ideas. Some would consider it like manipulation, or I don't know, how would I say it? It's problematic. And I think it's interesting to look at if it's problematic, how it's problematic, and why, because it relates, for me, to a lot of what we do here, the joining game conversation strategies. How can we use our strategies in a way that is supporting our goals, where we are not coercing people, manipulating people, and still using our strategies to get what we want? Because in the neutral sense, communication techniques, strategies are manipulative. We are attempting to create a change by speaking. So, manipulation has these two different connotations. One is like dark, negative, evil activity. One is neutral, like we want to do something. I want you to come to my house, so I call you and say, hey, would you like to come to my house? And you say, yes, I would, and then you do. Well, I have technically manipulated the situation. I took an action, I spoke some words to you, and it had a result in the world. So that was my second idea. And I know with a class like this, we'll have potentially lots of other things coming in, but I wanted to present those as options. So welcome, Zoo. Welcome, Goku 2040. Where are you at? What are you thinking? What would you like to explore together?
I vote for the second proposition because I have a lot to say about it. Especially recently, I've encountered something that mirrors that, or that's a parallel to what you were speaking about, manipulation and such and such.
Say anyone else?
Anyone else?
I vote for the second one too because it catches my interest.
I also think that we should talk about manipulating. I'm sorry if I said it incorrectly, because it is an topic that should be learned in today's community, as the politic have do it to most people.
So it sounds like there's a lot of interest in this topic. Would you like to start, or would you like me to start?
You start.
You'd like me to start. I'm happy, always happy to start. Well, here's how I'd like to start. I'm going to share my screen for ChatGPT.
Teachers use ChatGPT.
What did you say? Do teachers use ChatGPT?
Yeah.
Was that your question? Do teachers use ChatGPT?
Yeah.
They certainly do, because I'm a teacher and I'm using ChatGPT. So the answer is yes. Yes, we do. I, as in the chat, says our teacher doesn't allow us to use ChatGPT. Well, I am not your teacher in Turkey. I am your teacher in Discord. So it seems that there is some difference amongst the teacher population, and that's fine. Your teacher doesn't have to use ChatGPT, and I don't have to abstain. We can have different teaching strategies. So here we go. Hi, ChatGPT. what is the main idea of the book, The Art of Seduction? And what are the 24 steps it teaches?
Sorry, Mr. James, but the font is kind of small, especially for people who use this phone. I personally can't see it, but I don't know about others. Maybe
So,
you should enlarge it.
I'm
um,
using the phone too,
yeah,
and I can't see it clearly.
yeah, I understand. So I'm not going to be able to present everything all at once. We're going to work with this. So I'm putting things into ChatGPT, but what I will do is I will share links so you can open up the link to this conversation and read it and even interact with it in ChatGPT directly. So, but I will also play with maybe so you can see it on your phone. It's going to be a little bit harder, but we can try. So let's see. Does that help?
Yes.
No, it's good.
Oh, that's good. Does that help?
Yeah, for me. Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Glad. And last thing I want to check is if I play the audio from ChatGPT, can you hear it? So let me just test the audio from ChatGPT.
Main idea of The Art of Seduction.
It's working.
Working?
The Art
Yes,
of
I can
Seduction
hear
by
it.
Robert Greene is a
Yes, I can hear
psychological
it too.
guide to understanding the art of influence, attraction, and power in interpersonal relationships. The book explores seduction as a tool not only in romantic contexts, but also in social, political, and professional realms. Greene breaks seduction down into an art form, describing how one can subtly draw people in, captivate them, and achieve one's goals through charm, allure, and manipulation. The book is divided into two main parts. 1. The seductive characters. Greene identifies 10 archetypes of seduction, each with unique traits and strategies. These include the siren, the rake, the ideal lover, and the charmer. 2. The seductive process. This part outlines 24 strategies or steps that one can follow to seduce others effectively. The 24 steps of seduction. Here's a summary of the steps outlined in the book. 1. Choose the right victim. Focus on those who will respond to your charms. 2. Create a false sense of security. Approach indirectly. Don't reveal your intentions up front. 3. Send mixed signals. Keep them guessing and intrigued. 4. Lead the target into a seductive state. Create moments of vulnerability and relaxation. 5. Keep them off balance.
Merab says, "This is insane." Well, let's talk about it. Yeah. So highly controversial as it's easy to see right off the bat why that would be the case. Now, I'll just state my intentions for presenting this material. My interest in this material is in psychology in general and in the intellectual process. So we, as students and learners and people interested in intellectual culture, can learn how to engage with material that we disagree with or that we don't know about, and use our critical thinking and intellectual skills to assess and critique and understand and argue. So you don't have to agree with this. You can think it's insane. You can think it's very bad, and we can still have a constructive process looking at it, talking about it. That's my intention. So, what do you think?
I think it's close to the parallel I was referring to previously, which is um, gaming in general or games in general, where we have, like, for instance, we have most of the games give you a sense of freedom, but if you go to the extreme, we have like open world games, which like lets you travel whatever you want. But deeply there are a lot of mechanics that the developers use in order to guide you to not get bored, because if they leave you wander in a vast land, you'll surely get bored, or you will not encounter the right content where they focus their efforts into. So they try to manipulate you in a way, as subtly as they can. In most games, they trying to be subtle with it, but there's also like clear manipulation where they manipulate you, they announce their manipulation. And I think this one you are mentioning is very subtle. It just sells you like an illusion of freedom by leading you to think that you are choosing uh, where they lead you, by trying to make it beautiful, kinda, so that you walk toward it while you are pleased. I think that's it. Anyone else?
I really like the topic of psychology and human interaction a lot. I like it very much because I always am looking at people and how they interact with each other. I'm a very observant person. So I like to do my research sometimes and see why people interact with each other this way or the other, because it makes me understand them a little more. I don't know if that makes sense. Like with my friends, I can be able to understand them more if I know why they act a certain way. So I can help them later if they have a problem that they can tell me about, for example. An avoidant person won't tell me what she's going through, but if I know how they act when they are in a bad position, then I can help them, even if I don't know what actually happened.
So Skoogie is saying that there are some ideas here that are used in video games, for example, ways to entice us to get drawn in, continue to be interested. And I think also, Skoogie, you mentioned something like losing connection with our sense of choice. Like we get attracted to something and forget that we have a choice to do something else. I wasn't sure if I got that exactly. And then, Parsona, you're talking about your personal relationships with friends, just having an interest in psychology in general. You like to observe human interaction so that you can be more helpful. Um, I think that's why people study psychology. Many people study psychology for both of those reasons, because they'd like to be helpful and because they'd like to trick people, exploit them, or maybe there's some middle ground. We can say nudge people. And if you know the word nudge, N-U-N-D-G-E, sorry, N-U-D-G-E, it's like in between pushing and not doing anything. It's like it's kind of like a gentle push. I'm not forcing you to drink water. I'm just holding the glass of water up to you and saying, here's the water. Would you like to drink it? I'm not actually grabbing your head and pouring the water down your throat, but I'm saying, doesn't this look good? Wouldn't you like to drink it? And that's going to have a bigger impact than if I don't offer you water at all. It's a nudge. It's a gentle push.
Mehrab here. Mr. Jim, did you say that, I want to confirm that you said that we can use these techniques to learn from people we disagree with them at the first?
Well, when we read anything, we get to learn what somebody else is thinking, and we don't have to agree in order to understand. So if we want to benefit from learning, we learn about things that we disagree with. We learn about what other people think, because not everybody believes the same things that we do. Not everybody knows the same things that we do or thinks the same thoughts. So I grow in my capacity to engage with others if I know what you think as well as what I think. You know, I don't always know what I think. Sometimes I have to think to know what I think. Sometimes I have to talk to somebody to know what I think. And then I will get clearer about what I think. But as I do that, I may discover that you think something different. And I can do both. I can learn about what I think. I can learn about what you think. They can be different. So that's a process, I mean, of intellectual life, of critical thinking, where we listen to others and other ideas and see what's our response to that. Do we agree? Do we disagree? Do we like it or not? And we can do that with writing, with books, right? Here's some book. We start off not knowing anything, and then we hear about the title, we hear about the ideas, and we can form our own opinions. And that, I think, is a valuable process regardless of the content. The content could be fantastic or the content could be horrible, but we can still have a fantastic time learning even if the material is horrible. That's what I'm suggesting.
So I'd like to summarize. We can learn from people who we disagree with them by reading anything, even if the content is not good. Still, we can engage with that content, and we can have a constructive time studying that content, like what we want to try to do now.
I think so. What do you think?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Well, I said that's what I think. I think it's useful to engage with different ideas, including ideas I disagree with. And I'm wondering, what do you think? Do you see the value in learning about ideas that you might disagree with?
Yes, I completely agree. I think that having different points of view to think about a same problem, it's a very good thing to do. Like sometimes I'm too emotional for things that require more logic. So if I have someone who's better at logic than me, that I'm very emotional, then I will treat this problem better with a more focused point of view instead of mine. Even if I'm not really agreeing with what this person is saying, I can still understand that this is the best approach for a certain problem.
I agree with Persona because for you to disagree with someone, you need to listen first. You need to learn and understand for you to say, okay, I agree or I don't agree.
Yeah, I also want to add to that before making any kind of decision, you need to know all the aspects of a like argument, right? So we need to learn the things that the other side is thinking of and what we are thinking of. Only then we can make an informed decision.
I actually have quite a different opinion from them. I also think that having different opinions and views from yourself is a must. That's what makes us special. If every human was the same, the world we live in would not be the same because everyone would have to agree. If everyone had agreed on the same thing, everyone would have peace. Like for example, wars and fights between people would not have happened. That will change a lot of that will change a lot of things.
I heard something profound, which is in order to agree or disagree, we need to understand that I can't even successfully disagree if I don't know what you're saying. So if I present a book and I say, let's read this book, and somebody says, I don't want to read that book, I disagree with it, and I say, oh, what is the book about? Well, I don't know, I didn't read it. Well, how do you know you disagree? How can we disagree if we don't even know what somebody thinks? I don't think it's possible. We can say it, but I don't know if we can successfully disagree if we don't know what an idea is. So understanding comes before agreement or disagreement. And that if you see value, if you see that makes sense, that understanding comes before agreement or disagreement, for me that changes a lot. It changes, it opens me to the possibility of talking to all kinds of people who have all kinds of ideas that I don't understand and I can be curious about, rather than jumping to conclusion that I disagree immediately and then not listening to them.
Mehrab here, what I see that we can, there are many things that we don't like in the life, obviously, but when we try to understand the opposite side, it's like that we are opening our inner circle, and after trying to understand, it's normally hurtful, at least for me, because it's something that you do not like. But after finishing that, after
what's the thing,
understanding,
Merab, what's the thing that you don't like in this process? Listening to a different opinion? You said it's you don't like. Yeah.
Currently, you mean, Mr. Jain?
Well, I don't know. I thought you just said that you don't like something.
Oh, yeah, for example, the idea of this book, okay, is that about seduction? And okay, for example, I read the first option, which the first step, choose the right victim. Okay, I do not want to choose the right victim. Why should I? It's kind of, I don't understand it at the first, because it's something that I do not agree with.
Yeah, well, so you're saying you don't understand it and you don't agree with it. And so that's interesting. How do you know you don't agree with it if you don't understand it?
You mean like, so we need to know people's opinion besides judge them, yeah, right?
I am suggesting that in order to agree or disagree, we must understand something. That's my hypothesis. You can test it out and we can look at it a little bit, but that's my hypothesis, that when Merab says, I disagree with step 1, choose the right victim, actually, maybe you do understand that idea. Why say you don't understand the idea? You do understand the idea. And you disagree.
I think
Let's
the wording of that first point, is what making everyone dislike that first point, that right victim. Why are you using the word like victim there? Maybe the person, maybe it would have written maybe the right person which you want to talk to. That would have been a more appropriate word there.
So what if we changed, what if we edited the steps? What word would we want to replace for victim? Choose the right friend, choose the right.
I think the word victim is really used in the psychology, really, especially in the book. So the word victim, I see nothing big a deal. So using a victim is maybe it's a psychologist way, so it's not a big deal, I think. I don't know why some people deny it.
I couldn't catch all of that, Jack. You think that the word victim is a neutral word?
There's like thing called some author uses in like book, maybe especially psychology book. I've 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 always see that,
Well,
using a person, the victim, especially the people you're going to communicate.
so victim has very strong negative connotation. It my friend who I was talking to about this book, my collaborative partner teacher, she said, this is like a book for murderers. It's very creepy. It's like how to find the next person who you're going to kill. Um, so victim has a very strong connotation. It's very
Yeah, exactly.
I can understand. It's not just a neutral word that is used within psychology. And there's different ways you can talk about victims, right? You can talk about supporting victims, or you can talk about exploiting victims, and those two directions are gonna lead to people are gonna have very different reactions to helping victims and hurting victims.
Scoogier. I think the word was chosen carefully because it's a book, and I think the author. I'm not sure. You are the author. I'm not sure, but my understanding about the word is that we are all victims since the day we're born because we are being seduced by our environment, our parents, our society to become what we are or kind of forge our identity. So in the book, we're following the steps to do the same thing, which is seducting and uh, trying to change or sell something for the person, for the victim. And I think victim here is referring to the inner self or the inner voice of that person or the inner choice of that person, since there is a mention here of lead the target to dependency. So you're taking away kind of the dependency and sending them like a fake one. I don't know, maybe that's that way.
Hey, Skookie, I
Yep.
want to say I appreciate your attempt. I think you're making a desperate move, and it's going to be harder and harder to argue what you're saying. I don't want to discount it, but when I hear you saying um,
Maybe.
you can interpret victim, what did you say, as the inner voice of the person you're helping, something like that. I think it sounds pretty far-fetched. Like, I think the way it's presented here, as somebody said, the word is chosen very carefully and very purposely to be controversial. It's clearly meant to be have a strong impact. Like, who talks about victims, right? Like, criminals have victims. Is this a book?
Yeah, victim.
Is this an instruction manual for
Usually,
criminals?
yes. Usually the word victim, like if any normal person is like going through these books and he comes across the word victim, he will usually think that why is that person a victim? Are you about to do something to him? Is he or she uh will be like is he or she will be forced to go through something which he or she doesn't want to? So why are you using that word?
I think that what is like a metaphor, not seriously, not serious one. I think it's just for a metaphor, I think,
So,
and we don't need to take it serious.
ChatGPT, what is a victim?
In the context of the art of seduction, the term victim refers to the person you are attempting to seduce or influence. Robert Greene uses the term metaphorically to emphasize that seduction involves identifying a specific individual who is susceptible to your charm, appeal, or strategy. Key characteristics of a victim in this context. 1. Susceptibility. Someone who is emotionally or psychologically open to being seduced. This might mean they have unmet desires, insecurities, or vulnerabilities that make them more receptive to your approach. 2. Compatibility. A person whose needs, interests, or fantasies align with what you can offer. For example, someone longing for excitement might respond well to an adventurous personality. 3. Emotional state. Green suggests targeting people in a state of boredom, dissatisfaction, or longing, as they are more likely to welcome the allure of seduction. Why this term is controversial. Using the word victim can sound predatory or manipulative, and Green's approach has been criticized for its focus on power and control. It's important to note that ethical seduction or influence respects boundaries, mutual consent, and authentic connection rather than exploitation. Would you like to explore this term in a more neutral or ethical light?
Now, I want to present my opinion. You can have a different opinion. When it comes to psychology, the most useful, the way to use it that I find most effective is to try it out on yourself. Try it out. Make yourself the victim of this strategy, these steps. So what if I choose myself? I'm going to be the victim of my seduction. I'm going to seduce myself. What would that look like? Will I be able to manipulate myself? Will I be able to get myself to do things that I'm on the fence about and unsure about? Is it going to be useful in any way towards myself or not? And that principle applies across the board for me when I think about.
In my
Go ahead, yeah. Go ahead, Jack.
opinion,
Sorry? Hello?
in my, I think just manipulate yourself is not gonna work. My opinion.
Hmm.
It should be effect on others. Using manipulate is meant to be other, you know. You can manipulate yourself in other ways, but I think being seduced is, I think, you can use it on yourself, in my opinion.
You don't think
I don't know if
yeah, that's fine. You don't think we can seduce ourselves or manipulate ourselves. You think it's only effective for other people. Okay.
Okay. Sometimes, for example, I can think about a situation that, for example, there is a drug which is good for my health, but I don't like its taste. And the doctor or someone might want to seduce me, or maybe myself want to seduce myself. Okay, that's delicious. I try to, I have a victim here because I do not like the taste, but my intention maybe make it more acceptable.
Buddy, no doctor is
whatever. It's like, touching
no
on your
doc
own body cannot be sensitive.
Buddy, no doctor is seducing you to take any drugs, says John Gray. I'll give you an example of how I can seduce myself. Let's say I do not want to eat ice cream because I know I'm trying to lose weight and ice cream is not great for losing weight. So I've decided I don't really want to eat ice cream, even though there's a part of me that loves ice cream. So I buy some ice cream and I tell myself I don't have to eat it. It's just if I change my mind, it's there in the freezer, available for me in case I want it. I know I don't want it now, but maybe I'll want it a little bit later. Maybe I'll decide that it's okay to be unhealthy. I don't know. I could imagine struggling later with that choice. Like, oh, do I want to? Do I not want to? And maybe because it's in the freezer and I don't have to drive to the store, it's closer. I've seduced myself into eating ice cream.
Ice cream, yeah. I love the ice cream example. I think I have another one, which is like, like when we are in silence, we have like always. I think that I have always a voice that entertaining me and saying random stuff, and then
Can you hear
when I
me?
focus on something, it kind of
Hello.
settles out, and it's it kind of stops that voice. And same with listening, I guess. In even in this class, it's kind of the voice. I don't listen to that voice that much. I just listen to other people's voices. So it's kind of I'm like taming that beast by being in here, by trying to interact with other people. Anyone else?
Sir, James sir, can
Tashin,
you hear
welcome.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sir, really, I'm much happy to be here.
Welcome.
I
Unfortunately, Tashin, I think your
got
sound is not really working. So I'm going to move you
from
into the audience. I'm
has this
so sorry.
platform made? Could you explain something about this?
I'm so sorry, Tashin. I'll write you a note. Your sound is just not coming through clearly. It's coming in and out. And so what I would like you to do is write your comments. Oops, did I miss the... Where's that? Your sound isn't working. Please write your comments. Back to you.
For me, sir, I guess that.
One at a time.
Okay, go ahead, Yunus.
Say your name.
My name is Yunus.
Yeah, Eunice.
Yeah, I just think that we always, like as a human being, we have like a conflict between our I mean psyche and our intellectual position. So I guess that always we have that conflict within us. So I guess that we always seducing ourselves in some relevant sense. Like from time to time, we're seducing ourselves. We're trying to be a little bit intellectual more than emotional, but the emotional aspects is I guess, the one who is responsible for our, psyche and seducing us in some real sense.
Okay. So you have a kind of theory about the person, the self. It's you see the self as having an intellectual side and an emotional side, and one of them is trying to seduce the other all the time.
Yeah, and I guess like the one who is responsible for seducing is the what's it called, emotional aspect.
You think that's mainly the emotional side that does the seduction in ourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talking as far as let me summarize you, Eunice. You said that there is a conflict between emotions and intellect that always con- conflict between them. And my POV, based on James' example about the ice cream, and as far I understand from the current speech, that seduction or seducing can occur unconsciously. It's an unconscious process, like saying to yourself, "This is the last time I'm gonna eat this ice cream, and from tomorrow I will start seriously." Like sleeping and saying to yourself, "Tomorrow I will start finishing this task." Uh, like procrastination, this is a kind of seducing. And one of the points that raised in my mind right now the difference between tempting and seducing. Um, so please, if anyone here can know the difference between both temptation and seducing, what is the difference between both? Thank you.
It's for me that the temptations and seduction are some words who like plays in a an equivalent role, because if something is seducing you, this thing is a temptation for you. So that's why I guess that it plays like their meanings a little bit mutual. So I guess they are the same thing. I don't know if guys agree with me or not.
I do agree with you, Eunice. I think for our purposes, they're basically the same. We could find some differences if we want, but I don't see any key differences between seduction and tempting.
I just want to give an example, guys, if you don't mind. About, for example, you can use your seduction to your self-interest. Like, for example, if you have for example, an exam tomorrow and you have to prepare for it, but at the same time you have the mood to watch a movie. So your psychological aspect is seducing you to what you call to watch the movie that you want to watch. But in an intellectual position, you have to prepare to validate the semester, for example. But you can like use your seduction as a self-interest to you by tricking your mind that if you are going to prepare, for example, for 2 hours, and then you give your mind a reward for watching the movie, and so on and so forth. So you're using your temptations as a you know as I mentioned earlier, what's it called, as a solution for your preparation and this and that. What do you think about that?
Well, what I think is why seduce yourself? Why not just make an agreement with yourself? Like I can understand we have different parts of ourselves that want different things. Is it possible to just be upfront with the different parts of ourself and come to an agreement? So there's one part of me that wants to get a high score on the test, and there's another part of me that wants to have some fun with my friends. And I think if I allow one part to dominate, only study or only spend time with friends, that I'm going to have a problem. So rather than seducing the other part, I'd like to come to some kind of agreement with the different parts of myself to have balance, to have the sense of inner balance.
Great. I want to summarize that why instead of seducing ourselves, one part
I see.
ourselves seduce another part, why not we try to make an agreement, agree. Yeah, make an agreement, I think, yeah. Was it right, Mr. James?
Yeah, good enough.
What I think about now is what is the difference between seduction and seduce, when you seduce someone or when you persuade someone. Yeah. Because as I see now, I can see them in the same way. Because, for example, a TV commercial, maybe wants to seduce me or maybe wants to persuade me. How can I notice a difference?
Sir, could you listen to me?
Yeah, can hear you, Tashin.
Sir, I am first time I am here. So, what are you talking about? Could I know this?
You'd like to know what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Would you try something? Would you try listening to us a little bit to see if you know what we're talking about?
Okay. Hmm.
if you find that you can't figure out what we're talking about, this conversation may be too difficult for you.
Sir, could I manifest a few life problems which am I counteracting daily? So, could you give me a solution? How can I solve this kind of problem?
Give us one. Let's try one. What's one problem that you're facing daily?
Actually, English is not my native language, but I'm trying to improve myself, sound and shoulder, and I'm trying my best. So when I'm seeing a lot of a set of vocabulary, so then it makes me a bit confused and nervous. It creates nervousness inside me. So by that, sometimes I feel much bored by English. So how can I stop this feeling?
You'd like to manipulate yourself and stop feeling what you feel, which is nervous.
Yeah. This, yeah, I want to stop the nervousness feeling when I when I see a set of vocabularies which is must for me to learn if I want to get a betterment uh, in English.
Yeah. Well, what I like about your example is it can fit exactly into what we're talking about. And I want to suggest that we don't like to be manipulated by ourselves. We don't like to be manipulated by anybody, including ourselves. So, if you feel nervous and you try to trick yourself into not feeling nervous, it's going to make you more nervous. You're going to it's going to come back. But if you look at the root, if you look at what's really going on, where the nervousness is coming from, then you can learn something about yourself. You could learn something about nervousness. You could learn something about yourself and actually address the issue. Everybody,
Uh,
yeah?
Oh, sir, you mean foremost I have to look at the root and I have to figure out the problems from the root side. So by that I will able to learn something and try to solve. I will able to solve my problems which I am facing now.
Yeah, that's right. So nervousness is not something that only language students experience. Nervousness is an issue for everybody. Native speakers get nervous, people get nervous in all kinds of situations. So nervousness it can be really miserable, but it's very close to excitement. So sorry, Tashin, your sound is not working. But just for everybody's sake, excitement and nervousness are very similar. There's very small difference. It's like energy. And nervousness or anxiety is often connected to a fear, whereas excitement is just a Tashin, I'm so sorry. Your sound is not really working. I'm going to move you to the audience. And please type there. If you think of if you think of that energy as being a sign that something is happening that is important for you, you may have a different experience with it. It won't be so unpleasant.
Well, if you don't mind me saying, I would say the nervous in a human being is some kind of an emotion where your heart and your mind is actually in battle. Uh, so when we used to look at it from a different perspective, let's say for example, you did something bad, and but at the same time you don't want to be forbidden from it. Let's say when you were young as a teenager, uh, you don't want to have a bad grade because you don't want to be forbidden that maybe your father comes to you and tells you, okay, you don't go out, you're grounded. So before the grade comes, or the grading after you did the exam, it comes out, you know that you didn't well, you get this kind of nervous system because you still don't know, you have no idea about what the reaction is going to be from your father, but you have an idea about it. So your mind wants to actually see the idea that you might be performing good, but you still don't know, you don't have an idea about it. But at the same time, if you're not performing good, your heart wants something else. So when your father comes with his decision, basically you want something that your father doesn't want because you don't have the thing or the grades that you wanted to go for, or you didn't have a good grade in the exam, so your father ended up grounding you. So this is the reaction, nervousness, is when there is a battle between heart. So
Yeah.
what you have to do with it, just a small thing, please. So when you have to do with it is just you have to let go of one thing. You have to accept your mind, or you have to accept your heart, and then your nervousness calms down. Just became more calm.
Well, if I can say that what in my mind, actually, what I felt nervous and exciting over something is two things that we can separate with. Because, sometimes we too excited about something, is that learning something, do something, and there is some part of us that nervous. What if you fail? And in the end, it's good to anxiety because you're afraid of what if I fail, this and that. But you have, and like I said, in other hand, you want to like success, you want so excited to do something. So excited
I think of nervousness as being related to our fight or flight system. We have a system that has evolved in our biology to help us quickly respond to danger. So, we once, as human beings, lived in situations where maybe there was a wild animal and we needed to.
somehow it can separate with nervous or anxiety of itself.
I think there's a delay. I think you may not hear that I'm talking, Min Pai. Just 1 minute as I finish my thought. The fight or flight system that we evolved to have is very useful when there is real danger. If there is a lion that's going to eat us, we get really excited and we get lots of energy to run away and save our life. That's very valuable. But
Okay, James, can I have a question?
is my sound coming in okay? Do you hear me clearly?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you slave niggers in America?
That was disrespectful, but okay, continue, James. We're hearing you. Your
So
voice is clear.
so if you have real danger, it's useful. When it's not useful is if you have a fantasy of danger. And if we don't distinguish between the real danger and the fantasy of danger, that system is not very useful. So if I am telling myself something like, I have an English test next week, I'm going to fail my English test, my father's going to be angry at me, I'm going to fall out of school, I'm not going to get a good job. That's all a fantasy. But our biology is responding as if it was a real danger. Our heart is beating, we're filled with like this discomfort. And we don't realize that we are generating our own unpleasant experience by the thoughts we're having, that we could have different thoughts and we could have a different experience. So managing anxiety requires us to explore our thinking and how we are generating the anxiety. And I think one step in that process is first determining, is there a real danger, or am I in a kind of fantasy mode that's generating the discomfort from my thinking?
I mean, if you look at it yourself, let's say for example, if you've decided to take an adventure and just go out there in the nature and you're trying something new with your friends, your friends have tried it. Let's say you wanted to jump on a sea or just on ocean or whatever it is on the rock. And then the first thought that it comes to you, because this is your first experience, like you said, you gotta understand how your body reacts, because with human mind, it's just emotion before your mind speaks, or the reaction comes after you feel the emotion, basically. So what happens is you decide you want to jump because, let's say your mind or your heart, whatever it is, wants it, but there's another calculation that's going in your mind that you don't want to jump, so you don't know what's going to happen, the fear of the unknown. So basically, for me personally, I just like the experiences when you feel nervous, because it never comes back again once you get used to something. Sometimes it's a trauma response. Sometimes it's just how you feel. It was a bad experience, not just trauma when it comes to emotion, or just a bad experience. Something happened. You might react to it. So yeah, you gotta identify how it shapes you and how you grow up with it. Sometimes we don't even like consciously look at it to understand it, but we just try to understand the emotion. Why am I feeling nervous? But we don't understand what's happening sometimes, even after it happened. So, but yeah, if you take the jump, nothing happens, then this is excitement. I like what I did. Oh, I just jumped off of a rock. I love it. Let's do it again. And this is what happens after excitement. Most people want to do the thing again. But what happens if you drop but you broke your leg? Then you don't want to do it again. So it just depends how the thing unfolds in the situation for every human being, and every human being has a different anxiety experiences.
I think it's a kind of like gamblers. He is taking risks, like we're gonna win or gonna lose. You're gonna feel the excitement. I got that shot of adrenaline and endorphins and this flush of the neurotransmitters and hormones in their bodies. And on the other side, he, as you said, his leg maybe got broken. He may have trauma. So it's a kind of being like gambling. So yeah, you're right in this point.
What do you think, James?
I'm wondering if anybody has a real example that's present here, if anybody feels nervous here. If we have a live example, then we can go through the steps of undoing the anxiety. Otherwise, it's just theoretical.
Sugier, I think taking from my time talking to people and trying to share my voice, I wanted to meet a sense of reward. And then when it doesn't meet a sense of reward, then I try to justify it by either blaming myself or maybe doing something else. But when I blame myself, I kind of become nervous next time I speak, because I don't want to repeat the same process, and I want to be rewarded for using my time and talking to people. Is that a real example, or I think it's just also theoretical?
No, it is not.
Go ahead, Wolf.
I'm saying it is not. It's actually real. Like a lot of people right now, they're in a stage. Right now, we're talking about 51 people listening to us. A lot of people right now, if you want to bring them to the stage, they're gonna feel nervous first time they talk. One of the few, and this is a realistic example that somebody can come and talk about it. The first that time they talk is that they control how they speak. They get nervous. they don't see themselves, let's say, or they start seeing themselves from other people's point of view. Because in this society, a lot of people care about what other people think. In different cultures, they teach us to care about what other people think. So we are raised like this. When they come here and they start speaking, a lot of these people would be nervous, or just they know that they speak better English when they're alone. But when they come here on the stage, their English just gets demolished because they don't have the experience. It's not that they don't know how to speak, but they get nervous because they get too deep in their thoughts. Sometimes they think about what other people think. Sometimes they don't know how the articulation works. So there's too much distractions for them, which leaves a lot of pressure. And that pressure's come to an outcome that these people, they don't want to go through that experience. So any person right now who would like to speak, you will feel for the first time on this stage, if they open their mic, a lot of them that might feel a little bit nervous, which is a normal feeling. It happens the first time. It's normal. And I mean, if somebody would like to speak about it, we would be more than happy to listen.
Yeah, hello. I'm a little nervous to speak because it's the first time here, and I agree with all you said. Because even if we know to speak, we don't know how the other people will react. So yeah, I think it's nervous.
Yeah. I mean,
hold on a second, Wolf. Hold on a second, Wolf.
Yeah.
So look at what you've done, You had some nervousness, or you still have some nervousness, and yet you are not allowing it to rule your decision-making process. You have come and you're speaking despite your nervousness, enabling you to get all the benefits of being here and talking. And so it's a great example of how we can get nervous, but we don't have to then be ruled by our anxiety. And then there is another step. We can look specifically at what is generating the nervousness for you being here. Wolf said, in general, what might be the reason, but each of us has our own specific thoughts that generate fear. And if you want to go deeper into it, you don't have to. We can ask some questions. What are you thinking that's scaring you? What do you think is going to happen if you talk and make a mistake in English, or if people hear your accent, or whatever it is? We don't know, in your case, what you're thinking, but if you wanted to, we could go deeper into it.
Yeah, for me, I think the first thing is I don't really like to talk in public, even in my native language. So even if we are here on Discord and I'm not really with real people in front of me, it give me the same nervous. And also I think a little bit afraid of doing a mistake, because I listen a lot of English, but I don't really have the occasion to speak with native or non-native people in English. So I think it's also that. And for the last, I think it will be the how we argumentate. I'm not. Don't really know if I'm doing a good argumentation or not. So yeah, it's. I think it's the three main reason I am nervous to speak here, but also in other situation, even in my native language.
So, first of all, I want to congratulate you for having the ability to navigate and be here despite your anxiety, and then to have the deep self-awareness of all of the issues that you are that are potentially getting in your way. You named three. You don't like to speak publicly. You you don't know if you're creating an argument that makes sense, and you're afraid of making mistakes. We can look at each of these individually and see are they true, or are they real, causes to be afraid of? Is something bad going to happen, right? So the first one, you generally don't like speaking in public, even in your own native language. Well, that means you're doing something that is unfamiliar. You don't generally speak publicly, but here you are doing that. And so it feels a little uneasy, maybe unfamiliar. It's possible also that you do a lot of public speaking and you just know that you don't like it. But if it's an unfamiliar experience because you generally avoid it, that's going to create discomfort and anxiety, because we get anxious kind of naturally at when we do something new. Speaking a language, learning a language itself is a new thing. We're encountering and engaging with new words and new ways of talking, new sounds, all kinds of new things that are unfamiliar. Well, then on top of that, if you don't speak publicly and you're doing that, that's a new experience, and these add up. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it, but we're encountering the unknown. I like to talk about the edge of the unknown. When we come up to the edge of the unknown, we all feel a little bit anxious. And you're mastering your anxiety by being here and talking about it.
Yes, I think it's because when we are in the unknown, we imagine all kind of situation that kind of happen. I don't know if here I'm doing a mistake that nobody is understanding me, or I don't have example that come to mind now, but I think it's one of the reason when we are in the unknown, we feel anxiety.
Yeah. So I want to get to your second cause of anxiety, which is the fear of making a mistake. That's a kind of thought that I call a negative prediction. Maybe something bad has not happened, but you are projecting yourself into the future thinking something bad will happen, or as if making a mistake was bad. But you can ask yourself, right, are you making mistakes now? Are you making any mistakes now?
I don't know. I think with English, I am making some little mistake because my pronunciation is not that good, or maybe I'm doing grammar mistake.
Okay. So I will say it's true. You're making little mistakes. How do you feel about the fact that you're making little mistakes?
I think it's okay because I'm learning English, so I think when we learn in every type of field, we are doing mistake. It's by doing mistake that we will learn how to not do it. So I think it's not really important, but we need to be aware of to improve later.
I completely agree with you on that. Learning mistakes is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's actually a sign that you're engaged in the learning process. It's a good sign because you're identifying the mistakes, you're increasing your awareness about them, and you're improving by identifying areas for improvement. We don't go from 0 to perfect. There's a process of improvement. So and just like you said it brilliantly. It is part of the learning and it's not a problem. I totally agree. So that was your second concern. We've taken you away from, oh no, I'm going to make a mistake. So that's a problem too. It's totally natural. And then here's your third. Your third is what I would call kind of like a mind read. Depends on if you want to assess the argumentation or if you're worrying about what other people are thinking. But if you are thinking, oh, people think I don't make sense, that is a guess about what other people are thinking. I call that thought a mind read, and you can check it. We can check it here. often do a poll. And if you'd like, I'll do a poll for you and we'll see, do people think that you're clear or that you're not making sense? Shall I ask the group?
Oh, yes, if you want.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do it. So it'll be in the chat. Create poll. Does Eno make sense to you? Is that a good framing of the question? Do you like that, Eno? Does Eno make sense to you? Or would you like to ask
Yes,
it? Is that good? Okay. Well,
yes, that's okay. I think
good.
For all the people that are here in the conversation, they will understand the poll.
I think so too. So does Eno make sense to you? Yes or no?
But I
whoa,
think.
whoa, 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 Eno, just hold your butt for a second. I know butts are very tempting. Hold your butt for a moment. So take in the data. You've asked your question. Now give the group a chance to respond. There's 51 people in the group. We have 16 votes that say yes, you make sense, 0 that say no, and then there's about 30, 35 people abstaining, not saying anything. So, do you believe the group when you get 18 people who say you make sense?
I think in this situation, yes, but we cannot evaluate only on one situation, and I think the sample is like too small. If we can ask 1,000 people, it's not the same, I think, and also it depends in the topic. There's some topic I am more comfortable.
Eno, stop.
Or not.
I want to explain what's happening. So we people, not just Eno, but people in general, we have a really we stick to our beliefs. We hold on to our beliefs with dear life. We have beliefs about ourselves, and we're not willing to give them up, even when there's lots of evidence that shows us our beliefs are wrong. So, you're facing evidence, overwhelming. The group is saying you make sense, but you're choosing to go with your belief and saying, no, I don't. All of you are wrong. I know that I don't make sense, and I'm not going to believe you. I need to ask more people. You said, right? Maybe if I could ask 1,000 people, then I would find the people who agree with me that I don't make sense. It's called confirmation bias. We are looking for the information that confirms what we believe. Confirmation bias. We are looking for the evidence that tells us my belief is true. And if we find evidence that says our belief is not true, we filter it out. We disregard it. So, you don't believe the group. You think you're not making sense, Eno. Is that right?
No, not really. I don't think I'm not making sense, but I think we cannot say for sure with 100% I am making sense with only one poll and a limited sample.
Okay.
So I think in that situation I am making sense, but I cannot say I am making sense in all situations.
My question was not, does Eno make sense in all situations? My question was specifically for this context and specifically for this, where you are speaking now here. Do you make sense here now to these people? So we can certainly do other experiments. We can do lots of other experiments. We can ask this question next week. We can ask this question every week. We can ask this question to different groups. If our experimental design is not set up correctly here, It's probably not going to be set up correctly in other cases either. So this is a little bit tricky, what I mean by experimental design, but we can only get the results of the experiment that we perform. You're saying you'd like to perform other experiments. Great. Can we first finish this experiment and learn what have we learned from this experiment? And then certainly maybe we can do other experiments. Can you tell me what I said, Eno?
I'm not sure if I all understand what you were saying. I think you are saying I am making sense in this experiment, but maybe we can do other experiments like over a week with other group and see if the result is the same.
That's right.
Or not.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not. That's right. I'm not telling you not to do other experiments or not to be curious about what other experiments would look like, but I want us to be able to learn from this experiment, and I think the sample size may matter, but I can learn something from a sample size of 1 and a sample size of 50. And you can always have a bigger sample size. So yeah, there's room for designing the experiment differently, but let's not disregard the value of this experiment either.
Yes.
Would you say anyone else, please, and see if other people can join you on all of this?
I don't understand. What do you
Sorry.
want
Yeah.
to...
This activity, if you look at the name of the activity, it's called the joining game. And I will invite people to say the words, anyone else. It's kind of an abbreviation for, does anyone else have a similar feeling, thought, and experience? And then we join. So if you say anyone else, it kind of is a way of saying, I'm done, if you're done, and somebody else will speak. Are you done?
Yes, I'm done.
Great. Great. Anyone else have some thoughts about this? Have some anxiety? And I want to just say the timing. I let the timing slip a little bit, but I started a little bit late. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to go for another 10 minutes. And for these next 5 minutes, I want to invite in the silent subgroup. Silent subgroup is people who have not yet spoken or have spoken very little. And then the last 5 minutes will be the wrap up. So anyone who has not yet spoken wanted to say something on the stage? I see.
I want to add something about the confirmation bias that you have mentioned. Um, if the confirmation bias is a kind or example for seducing, like you are seeking for the emotional comfort and reducing the cognitive effort that you to process conflicting information or reduces this discomfort feeling. If the confirmation bias can be an example for the seducing that we were talking about earlier.
Joe, did you not want to hear from the silent subgroup?
No, of course not. I'm just giving my thoughts here. I'm very welcome for their thoughts if you want to talk. Anyone else from the silent group wanna?
I understand it's very tempting to
share their
continue.
thoughts?
It's very tempting to continue the last series because when time kind of comes to an end, we feel the pressure. But I just wanted to make sure some people who had not yet spoken, some people like Wolf, you're a very strong speaker, so it's very easy for people like you and me to come in, and I like to just give a little bit space to people who have a harder time to come in, even for just the last 5 minutes.
Okay. If I can speak, if you want to I want to speak to Eno. Is that okay, Mr. James?
Go ahead.
Okay. I said, what I want to say is more like to Eno. instead of you. So is that okay, Mr. James?
Go right ahead.
Okay. So, at first, I want to say that thank you and congratulations for you that you try to open up here to us, start to talking even though you don't like it, or more like anxiety or shy to talk in public, even though it's online. But thank you and congratulations for you, Sik, is every one of us have anxiety, have like nervous to talk, especially for the second language that is not our native languages. But you have to fight for that. Actually, it's okay for shy for a while, but if you want to be the native person, or at least good in English or other languages, start to talking, start to open yourself, or at least you can find someone that you thought that can be your buddy, so you can speak regularly with that person or a group of person. It at least it can make you uh, encourage to speak with other person, and maybe in the time being you can speak in the other voice room, 2 3 or basic or intermediate, advanced, or wherever it is. So that's what I want to say actually. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Empai. Anyone else from the silent subgroup wanted to say something? Honey or
Can I add something, sir?
go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that like our brain has a mechanism that just like protecting us from whatever was the fear. It doesn't differentiate between the good fear and the bad fear. So we know that there is some fears that are going to harm us as well. On the other side, we have some fear that are going to improve us and take us to the next level. That's why we're here like all the time. We have to face our fears. As I heard a quote that's saying that fears are temporary but regretted forever. So instead of we have to take some risks sometimes and fears, better than to be regretted and an opportunity that we didn't take like previously.
Our brain cannot distinguish between good and bad fears, you were saying.
Yeah, I suppose he's just like trying to protect us from fear, whatever was the fear.
Right. Whatever the fear is, our brain is working automatically to protect us.
Against it.
So I totally agree. For those of you who've been in my class past weeks, we did a few classes on defense mechanisms, which are examples of our brain, mind, psychology trying to protect us from discomfort, and fear is a kind of discomfort. So a lot of these are interrelated and in interesting ways. I'm going to move to surprises and learnings now. It's the last 5 minutes of class where we reflect on our class together. 6 categories: something that was surprising, something you learned, something you liked, something you did not like, something that was new which you discovered, and a next move, something you would like to do from being here. Anybody have a surprise or learning before we end?
Can I say there's a person who wanted to speak but was cut off? They're in the audience. Choco. CHOCO. I think they wanted to speak something, but they just...
I couldn't hear that. Wolf, your sound broke up. Who wanted to speak but couldn't?
Oh, yeah. There was somebody in the audience. It was Choco. CHOCO. I
Oh.
think she wanted to say something, but she disconnected or something. I just want to make sure.
Oh.
Yeah, her connection.
Anybody who has a bad connection or can't get on the stage for some reason, just write your comment in the chat, and you could bring it to my attention. I'll read it and we can talk about it. Hi, Choco.
Hello, Mr. James.
Hello.
About this topic, I had a question, but it won't take like short time, but I only have 5 minutes. So I have a question of we were talking about these steps of seduction. So I think the most of us know how the people manipulate us. So I have a question of what after that? If I know that you're manipulating me, but I don't know how to react or how to deal with this, like I will keep watching. I myself will keep watching you like a series, but I won't know what should I do. I know you're manipulating. I know you're lying. But I keep like playing this. It's like a series, as I said.
Yeah.
So I feel
so Choco, we only have about 2 minutes left to the class, so we don't have time to go into it in depth.
Yeah.
I suggest if you bring this topic to the next class. This class happens once a week. Sometimes I do impromptu classes in between, but at least once a week. Next Sunday I'll have it again, and we can go into it further. I'll just give you a quick answer. This is my quick answer, okay?
I'm sorry, it's my bad connection, yeah.
Oh, no worries. We cannot control other people. So other people may do manipulative things, exploitative things, harmful things, and we can't control other people, but we can control ourselves, right? So we think about, how do we want to respond? Do we want to relate? Do we want to do something to protect ourselves? We need to protect ourselves. There are, dangerous people and dangerous events in the world we want to protect ourselves from. So we separate out what our agency is, what our choices are, from things that are outside of our control. That's the first step if you think somebody is manipulating you. And
I feel like I'm weak when I try to protect myself, but the others are following that. Like I'm the only one who's trying to stop this, or like doing like defenses mechanism. So I feel like I'm the only one who does that. Like,
well, I don't know if this is helpful, but I want to reassure you that you're definitely not the only one who uses defense mechanisms, because everybody does. I do. We all do. And you're also not the only person who is interested in staying safe. I think that's a common goal, is people want to be safe, and safe from, making decisions that are harmful for ourselves or being hurt by other people. So like I said, no time to go into it deeper today, but I love it, and I suggest you bring it in next time. Will you come back next week and we can explore it further?
yeah.
Great.
Sure.
Okay, that's class for today. Thanks, everybody. Really interesting for me. I hope you feel the same way, and we'll plan to continue next week. It'll be next year, so have a happy new year, and we'll look forward to talking to you in 2025. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, sir. You as well, man.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
See you
Bye.
next week.
Robino, Joe,
Bye.
Honey. Bye.
Bye.